Iran's defeat is America's retribution for every American lost to Iranian terror, especially those brave troops killed by Iranian-made roadside bombs in Iraq that my generation knows so well, and for the suffering their regime has inflicted around the world. Deep in the rugged coastal mountains overlooking the Strait of Hormuz, the United States delivered a devastating nighttime blow to Iran's remaining command structure. A joint force of elite soldiers from the 75th Ranger Regiment, inserted and supported by the legendary Night Stalkers of the 161st Special Operations Aviation Regiment, flying MH-47 Chinook helicopters, conducted a high-speed raid on a heavily fortified Iranian command post. This mountain facility served as a regional nerve center for coordinating remaining anti-ship missile strikes, drone swarms, and mine-laying operations that continue to threaten international shipping. The objective was to destroy the command post, capture or eliminate senior IRGC leaders, seize intelligence materials, and deny Iran any further ability to direct attacks from this critical high ground. The mission originated from forward operating locations across the region. At a desert staging base in Oman, elements of the 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment received the alert. At the same time, Night Stalkers crews from the 161st SOAR prepared their modified MH-47 Chinooks at a nearby airfield. The plan called for a classic Ranger air assault, fast insertion by the Night Stalkers' heavy-lift helicopters, rapid seizure of the objective, and quick exfiltration before Iranian reinforcements could respond. Inside the operations tent at the Oman base, Lieutenant Colonel Derek Vance, commander of the Ranger Assault Force, stood before a detailed satellite imagery display and terrain model of the mountain command post. The model revealed layered defenses, concrete bunkers dug into the slope, multiple anti-aircraft positions on the ridgeline, a central communications tower with satellite dishes, vehicle revetments for armored trucks, and a small landing pad used by Iranian helicopters. Vance addressed his company commanders with steady resolve. The Night Stalkers will put us on the objective in 2 lifts. Alpha Company secures the northern ridgeline and destroys the anti-aircraft sites. Bravo Company assaults the main bunker complex and command building. We move fast, we hit hard, and we own the high ground before they know we're there. He covered infill routes, casualty collection points, link-up procedures with overhead gunships, and extraction timelines. The Rangers absorbed every detail in focused silence. Preparation moved quickly once the briefing ended. In the equipment bays, Rangers conducted final checks on their kit with practiced efficiency. They adjusted plate carriers, tested AN/PVS-31 night vision goggles, and loaded M4A1 rifles fitted with suppressors and holographic sights. Machine gunners inspected M240B weapons and packed long belts of 7.62 mm ammunition. Mortar teams broke down 60 mm tubes and distributed rounds. Anti-armor specialists carried javelin missiles in compact cases. Every Ranger carried extra water, combat trauma kits, demolition charges, and flex cuffs. The operators moved with quiet confidence. These were the Army's premier direct-action raiders, ready for another high-tempo night mission. On the adjacent airfield, the Night Stalkers prepared their MH-47 Chinooks. These massive, blacked-out helicopters featured extended-range fuel tanks, in-flight refueling probes, advanced terrain-following radar, and a glass cockpit optimized for low-level night flight. Crews ran checks on the twin Textron Lycoming turboshaft engines, tested the M134 miniguns mounted in the forward doors and M240 machine guns in the rear, and verified defensive flare and laser warning systems. Loadmasters secured internal fuel bladders and prepared fast rope equipment. The MH-47 were capable of carrying up to 40 fully armed Rangers each while flying nap of the earth at high speed through mountainous terrain. With everything ready, the raid force launched. The Night Stalker's MH-47G Chinooks lifted off into the darkness, their heavy rotors beating a deep rhythm against the night air. The helicopters flew low and fast, hugging the contours of the coastal hills to avoid Iranian radar. Inside the spacious cabins, Rangers sat along the sides, static lines and fast rope gear ready. The formation crossed into hostile airspace, maintaining strict emissions control. 2 MH-47Gs carried the first lift, while additional aircraft followed in trail for the second wave. The insertion was executed with textbook precision. As the lead MH-47Gs crested the final ridge, they flared dramatically and descended into a small clearing just below the command post. Ramps dropped, and Rangers poured out, establishing immediate security, while the helicopters lifted off to orbit nearby. The second lift arrived moments later, delivering more troops and heavy weapons. Within 3 minutes, over 200 Rangers were on the ground and moving uphill toward their objectives under the cover of darkness. The assault hit the Iranian command post like a storm. Zulu Alpha Company scaled the northern ridgeline and engaged anti-aircraft positions with accurate javelin strikes and machine gun fire, silencing the threats in seconds. Bravo Company breached the main bunker entrance using explosive charges and cleared the interior with suppressed weapons and flashbangs. Rangers moved room to room, neutralizing guards and securing the central command room where senior IRGC officers were attempting to destroy documents and servers. A fierce but short firefight erupted near the communications tower, but the Rangers' superior night vision and fire discipline quickly ended the resistance. Key IRGC leaders were captured alive, and technical specialists immediately began exploiting the site for intelligence. The entire raid lasted less than 45 minutes. By the time the sky began to lighten, the command post was fully under Ranger control. Demolition teams set charges on remaining missile guidance equipment and communications arrays, while security elements established a defensive perimeter. As the Night Stalker's MH-47Gs returned for exfiltration, the Rangers fast-roped down, captured high-value detainees and intelligence packages. The heavy-lift helicopters touched down briefly, loaded the force, and lifted away into the morning sky, leaving a small security team to hand over the site to follow-on conventional forces. Back at the forward base, Lieutenant Colonel Derek Vance received confirmation of mission success. The destruction of this mountain command post severely disrupted Iran's remaining ability to coordinate attacks in the Central Strait. Captured intelligence included detailed maps of minefields and drone operating procedures that would aid future operations. Later that morning, additional C-17 Globemaster aircraft arrived carrying reinforcement troops and supplies. As the big ramps lowered, soldiers stepped onto the tarmac, looking out at the desert landscape and distant mountains. For many, this forward base had become their temporary home, a place where they would eat, sleep, and prepare for the next phase of the campaign until the Strait of Hormuz was fully secure. On the captured ridgeline, the Rangers who had stormed the command post stood watch as the sun rose over the sparkling waters below. Lieutenant Colonel Vance looked out across the strait and said to his senior NCO, "We took their eyes and their voice tonight. The high ground is ours. The waters below are safer because of it." The raid sent strong shockwaves through Iranian command. Their mountain stronghold, once considered safe due to its elevation and defenses, had been seized and neutralized in a single night. Missile coordination in the region collapsed, allowing more commercial shipping to resume movement through the strait under American protection. The successful operation by the 75th Rangers, enabled by the unmatched skill of the Night Stalkers flying their MH-47G Chinooks, highlighted the lethal partnership between Army Rangers and their Special Operations